Hello, you're watching Business Connections Live. I'm Steve Hynard, and with me today is Linda Bazan. Linda, lovely to have you with us. It is our special New Year's programme, in fact.
Yes, it is. It's that time of year already.
It is indeed. It's our second of our two specials that we've had for this time of the year. Of course, last week we were looking at some of the programmes we put together for you over the last 4 months of last year, and now we're going to be looking at some of the others. All the programmes have been put together and designed especially for the small to medium scale enterprise, but even big businesses too can pick up some great suggestions and lessons from our different studio guests that we have here. It's been an interesting year, hasn't it?
It certainly has. We've learned an awful lot, that's for sure.
Well, and I think that's what's so interesting about it. We have learned an awful lot, and I think from the kind of response that we've had back via email and also from text and everything like that, from just
and
talking
Twitter
to people and
responses
Twitter too, just how exciting people are finding the programme, but more importantly how useful they're finding it.
Yes.
So what we're doing on this particular show is we're showing you just some of the highlights of the programmes. Now, if you've often thought to yourself, wouldn't it be great if I could get a newsletter out to maybe all my customers, or I just want to communicate with people that have shown interest over a period of time? How do you go about doing that? And then when you do that, how do you go about crafting the words together that you need to use to actually sell or to maybe elicit a response from the people who actually read the copy that you send out? When we had two great guests on this particular edition of Business Connections Live, we had Matthew Ruddle, he's from a company called InTouch CRM, and a man who is a marvellous wordsmith, a guy called Steve Bridger. With the pair of them together, they'll explain to you how you can use an automated autoresponder type system that will send out ongoing messages, but also how to craft the words that you need to sell your product. And this is what happened when the two of them came together on Business Connections Live. One of the biggest problems I think that small businesses have, or any business for that matter, is getting in contact and staying in contact with their customers. That's one of the problems, but how do you go about collecting their names? How do you send out newsletters to tell them what your business is doing? How do you write compelling words that will make people want to stick with you, even just to read your copy? How do you go about doing that? Well, we're going to have all the answers for you this evening. I've got two fantastic guests with me tonight. Live here in the studio, I've got Steve Bridger. He's the author of Startup Business. Steve, hello. Great to have you with us tonight. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Yeah. You're live here in the studio. Obviously, I can reach out and touch you. Pinch me, I'll bleed.
I am alive.
You are alive, but only just, I can promise you. And in North Somerset, I do believe, we've got the fine Matthew Ruddle, Customer Service Director for InTouch CRM. Hi, Matthew. How are you tonight?
Not too bad, thanks, Steve. So our system basically allows people to take that information that they gain from their websites and business events and then actually make use of it. So send out great looking email communications that are all manageable and trackable, so you know what's working and what's not working, and you can track that success. And that's essentially what we help customers do.
The thing is, you've got the technology, you've got the functionality, but of course what I would do, and in terms of the things which really gives you a total rounded package, is then looking at, if you like, the conviviality of it all. So you've got the functionality, the conviviality, and what I mean by that is how approachable you are, what messages you will put across, using the right sort of tone of voice, the right language, saying the things that people, want to hear. And it's all about, if you like, translation. And the job that needs to be done is, if you like, translating what people or businesses want to say into what people want to hear.
Oh, definitely. I mean, some of our customers really use the tool well. I mean, they are extremely creative. They can write quirky emails that really touch base, because as Steve said, it's a human approach, and that's where things like personalization really come into it. But you've got to forget the mechanism almost of how it's being sent out, and just remember that it's still you communicating with the customer.
Well, the first thing I say to people is it's not Shakespeare. You can't overcomplicate things. You can't actually suddenly go into some sort of great prose using great technical language. You've got to do something that, even though, the skill of it is to talk about something which is technical, which is perhaps difficult, and to put it in a way that people can actually understand. And so it's as the writer, and as the people who are doing something, you are the messenger. You're the eros, if you like, and you've got to think about not what you do, but how it's actually going to be received.
Give us a minute or so on what is key about coming to your business and why it is key about talking to you to get certain that you get the right product to build my business and customer list. Away you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, we offer a full service. I mean, at the end of the day, it's not just buying into our system, which is cheap as chips and very manageable, but you also get access to us and all the great resources that we build, so you can pick our brains and you can ask us to look over your campaigns and your website and suggest different things for you. So we can help walk you through that whole process of catching that passive traffic from your website, putting it into the system, all automatic, so you don't have to worry about anything, and then actually helping you build that sales process and those automated emails and that almost a marketing strategy where you can then start to really engage with people on a one-to-one basis without actually sending out those one-to-one emails. You could be communicating with hundreds of people within one click and finding out that core information of who's opening your email, who's clicking links, what time of day should you be communicating with people. So you get all this food for thought that you can then take a step back, look at it with us as well, and we can guide you and say, well, actually, let's start segmenting your database. Let's start really targeting people on their behavior and what they're doing with your communications to get success.
First of all, most importantly, it's not about you, it's about them. And what you should be thinking about is what it is that you've got that people want to hear about, what they want to work on, what is actually going to be really persuasive to them. Absolutely crucial. And remember that when you're putting this together, you have to pitch it in the right way. So whoever you are talking to, make sure that you understand the niche that you're talking to, the people that you want to actually influence, convert, whatever you want them to do. It is a question of getting inside their heads. And one thing that you really want to do is, at all costs, avoid the word being passionate about everything. I don't know if you've noticed that at the moment everybody's saying, oh, I'm passionate about this, I'm passionate about that, I'm passionate about vegetables, I'm passionate about that, our company is so passionate about it. Everybody goes, what you're really about is you're passionate about making money. So try to avoid that and sort of do it in the way that you could say that, right, I'm passionate about, life or interesting stuff, and that's what you really want. You want to actually be people about developing their business and their way that they should be doing it.
So that was Matthew Ruddle and Steve Bridger, another really interesting programme. And of course, Matthew was Skyping in there because he is in Somerset and our studios are in Shepperton. So it was an ideal opportunity for him to be on the programme without travelling all this way. And of course, any other guests that would like to come on the programme from anywhere in the country can always Skype in if they can't make it to the studio.
And I think this is what makes it so versatile and so user-friendly as well. If you're somebody out there and you're in the business community and you think, you know what, I've really got some great ideas, great suggestions, something that's going to help another business, and it doesn't matter what it's about. It can be from social media all the way through to sales and marketing. If you've got some information that you want to talk about, then you can come on the program. And that's what really we're after. So why don't you drop us a line to this email address. It's on the screen right now. It is studio@businessconnectionslive.com. All right, now the next show was another fascinating show. We had Surrey Connects who came in to see us,
yes,
and also the CEO of Gold Eye.
Yes, what an interesting character he was as well.
It was indeed. It was all about how to stand out in business, but also what kind of help is out there for the SMEs these days.
That's right, yes it was. And so as far as Mark Pearson was concerned from Surrey Connects, he came in to talk about the structure within the area and how they attract investment into the area so that they can help small businesses to grow. And Tom Higgins from Gold Eye was talking about how he'd started out in business, and he was saying how he had actually sold his house and moved into a rented flat so that they could really build the business. And of course now it's a multi-million-pound business and it's very successful. But one of the things he did say was, make sure you stand out in business, and my goodness did he stand out.
And to find out exactly what Linda means, just watch this edition of Business Connections Live. With me this evening, I've got Mark Pearson. He's Chief Executive of Surrey Connects. Mark, good to have you with us. Thank you very much.
Good evening.
For joining us. We have another guest with us as well this evening. Standing at the very last moment, but my word, what a guy it's turned out to be. We've already been talking for about an hour. Check out the glasses, check out the wristwatch. Tom Higgins, he's the CEO of Gold Eye.
Surrey Connects at the end of the day is about creating the right conditions for your business to be able to grow into the future. We've got a very long-term vision that stretches out to 2030. But actually, how does that translate into your business that may be relatively young? Well, we're trying to unblock some of those things that potentially may be blocking you in the future. So we're making sure that the colleges and universities are providing the right skilled people for you. We're making sure that the investment is going in terms of things like superfast broadband. We're also challenging some of the investment that needs to be made right here and now in terms of road and rail connections. Surrey is a busy place, but that's particularly important. The way that we're doing that at the moment, we've just launched a new service called Invest in Surrey, which is an inward investment service to attract new companies to the county. We've also recently launched the Big Debate, which is around about thought leadership. And you may think, well, what's thought leadership? Well, for us, that's actually to make sure that the expertise that you've got as a business is actually fed into the greater policy system. So we're quite concerned at the moment about have we got the right skills? What are the housing issues? How are people using town centres? It's those sort of things through the Big Debate that we're actually promoting at the moment. We're also looking at the future of business incubation, exactly what Tom's been talking about in terms of new startup space. We're also have created a new product, a new service called Digital Business Surrey, which is to make sure that you can actually take advantage of some of those networks that we've been talking about, specifically how you move your business and take advantage of technology.
I think the first thing is just believe in yourself. If you have an idea and you think it's something that people need, you can sell, then really believe in yourself in that one. Test your idea with other people. And then do a business plan. So is it actually going to make any money? Because it may be a great idea, but if it's not going to make any money, if it's supposed to make money, if it's not a charity, do a business plan that's realistic. And if that works, that's great. Work out how you're going to finance it. So in our case, we sold our house, and so we knew we could fund the business, and we knew how long we could run for. Personal networks are absolutely vital, absolutely vital. You won't believe how many people you've met who will be able to help you, and you just need to ask them. PR was something we did really, really early, because it's important for your clients to think that you're something substantial. When you start, you generally have no products and you have no customers. So where do you start? No one will buy anything because you have nothing to sell. In software, that's a bit tricky because you've got to build something. So you start small, you get a first customer, you build something for them, and then you build and you build and you build and you build. And it grows in that way. So PR helps you look bigger than you are. And that helps you grow faster. So we employed a local PR agency, Wigwam, who we're still with, who are absolutely fantastic. And they are now the PR agency for 6 of our clients because they were so impressed with them. Get the right people in, use your mummy net. So when you're dropping the children off at school, talk to the mummies. I've found jobs for a few of my wife's friends who said, this is great, I love your idea. And they now work for some of my friends doing the same thing as in the mummy net network. We explored the graduate opportunity and it worked really well for us. It may not work for you, but explore that as well. It worked very well for us. And then just fantastic customer service. People are selling to people. It's always people on either side of the business. So if you do a fair job, if you are honest and decent and you'll always go that extra mile, they will always remember that. Other thing, probably one of the last things, differentiate yourself. Have some super technology, have a nice shirt, have nice glasses. They will remember you. When I go to a trade conference, a trade show, or I see a client, they say, oh, you're the person who wears the bright shirts. And they remember that. They absolutely remember that. It's not difficult to do. So differentiate yourselves and make yourself memorable.
So that was Mark Pearson and Tom Higgins. Now, if you watch the entire programme, you'll see that Tom Higgins had the most wonderful watch on that picks up his emails when he's out, so that he doesn't have to keep looking on his phone or on his iPad. It's always with him on his wrist. So that's worth a watch.
He really is a man of gadgets, isn't he? He's an absolutely fascinating guy, but also a really nice bloke. It's interesting you're talking a little bit about the gadgets there on a later edition of Business Connections Live, and we're going to be showing you a little bit of a tease about that. But on a later edition, we were talking to somebody else, Steve Nicholls, in fact,
yes.
And he was going on about future technologies, and we've got to be all aware how we've got to make certain that we're aware of them when we're building websites and putting advertising together, so that we do actually encompass all the technology that's out there.
And keep up with the technology.
Anyway, but that's to come in just a moment. Now, we talked a lot about social media over the last 14 or so programmes. We had a gentleman in, we asked him in to talk a little bit about Facebook, to tell us how you should go about using that. It kind of developed actually into more of a general look as well at different social media. Fascinating show, actually. Now, I knew on the day that he was just a little bit nervous about being in. Cracking programme. If you get an opportunity to watch it, do. His name is David Endersby, and he's from a business called TW18 Business Media. Great show, wasn't it?
It was a great show, and I think the nice thing about David is he helps businesses to start out with social media, and because he is such a gentle person, you would feel very comfortable with him stepping in and helping you out at the beginning of your business with any social media needs that you have, and of course he will coach you through it all the way.
All right then, so let's have a look then at the programme. We want to find out a little bit more about social media. We've talked about LinkedIn already, but let's talk a little bit now about Facebook on Business Connections Live. With me tonight we've got David Endersby. He is the owner of TW18 Business Media.
TW18 Business Media was set up to work with mainly local people, hence the name, and help them with their social media. I called it business media because although social media is by definition, we're talking to people, we're interacting with them, at the end of the day you want to get a result for your business. It needs to produce results.
Why aren't businesses using it as they should do?
There's quite a few reasons really. The ones that I get most commonly are the normal, it's just for kids, because you see the stuff on TV or whatever, just for kids and celebrities, and you just see this stream of drivel coming through is how people see it, you know, what people had for breakfast. So that's one of the reasons I say that.
I'm having a cup of coffee now.
Yes. Whereas if you said I'm in a meeting with, you know, another company, I'm in a meeting talking about something or other, even if you're having a cup of coffee at the time, then that, you know, people like to know things like that. Facebook was the original social media platform. It's the one that everyone knows. Google Plus has come along recently, and up till quite a short time ago, people were saying, "Oh, well, the only people who are using Google Plus, you know,
are the geeks."
Are the geeks, and the people who work for Google." And you could go on the Google Plus site and call out, "Is anybody there?" And the echo would come back, "Not yet, but we will be soon." But that is becoming more and more important, and people are starting to use it a bit more. And you know.
What do you see as the main differences between Facebook and Google Plus then?
Google Plus is, the clue name is that Google own it, so that it's going to be a lot more beneficial as regards your SEO. And it's also a lot easier to, you know, get groups together, have, you know, Google circles, so you can join like-minded people in different groups together. Facebook is, I mean, there's 31 million UK Facebook accounts. So the beauty of Facebook is that your customers are there somewhere.
They're there somewhere.
They're there somewhere. I think the strategy is the same thing, is find out where your, as we said, where your audience is. Look to join, set up your business page, look to join local groups, look to like similar businesses or like your customers' business pages and interact with them as your business, so you're creating awareness. As we said, work out what you're trying to, you know, achieve, whether you're trying to actually sell, as you said, or whether you're just trying to raise awareness or provide an educational resource. And then you structure your posting and the things that you talk about, you know, to mirror that. Work out how much time you can give and stick to that. So if you can only post 3 times a week, at least do that. One of the things I see so often, Steve, is people, they have this great flurry of excitement at the beginning. I've set up my Facebook page, I've set up my Twitter page. I've done 10 tweets today. Tomorrow I've done 9 tweets. 3 weeks time I've tweeted last week. And then you look and, in 3 months time, they haven't tweeted at all. So work out what you can do and stick to it. I'll say the first key point is think about your audience and what they want to hear, not what you want to tell them. My second one would be just remember that social media is fun and it is social. And my third one is just do it. Just invest the time and get out there and do it, and you'll get results from it.
David Endersby there of TW18 Business Media. Great show, and if you do get an opportunity to watch the entire programme, I'm sure you're going to learn a lot. Now, I learned a lot on the next programme. So many of us have a passion, a desire to start our own businesses. A lot of people want to do something that's got a shop front to it, so they're going to get passing trade. What are the considerations that you've got to take into account when it comes to setting up a business like that? It can be very difficult. And let's face it, there's a whole wide spectrum of different businesses that can actually be customer facing through the shop window. But one of the most difficult has got to be the wine industry. Wine and restaurateur. What do you think? I mean, that's the real truth, isn't it? It's going to be really difficult.
It certainly is. Sonny Jaffrey and Chrissy, his wife, they work so hard at the Wine Circle, but they've built the business up over a number of years, and he had so many gems of wisdom for anybody starting out in business, especially with regard to customer service, to excellent customer service.
So then what we're going to say then is Programme 11 is where we are right now. Sonny Jaffrey and his take on business from the Wine Circle on Business Connections Live. If you've ever thought of maybe having a business that is, well, I suppose public facing, where the public walk in off the street, they're passing trade, and then you have to sell something to them. Or maybe you've thought about going into the catering industry and you're thinking to yourself, well, hello, I could do that. It's dead easy. Open a kitchen, serve up a couple of plates of fish and chips, job done. It isn't that easy. Vast expense, a vast amount of worry, and a vast amount of work as well. My guest this evening is Sonny Jaffrey from the Wine Circle in Virginia Water. Sonny, it's lovely to have you with us.
Well, we're wine and spirit merchants with a restaurant, bar and delicatessen attached to it. We operate more than just like a restaurant and a wine shop. We do tours to Europe. We have a very strong club membership, over 800 in number. We do a lot of masterclasses, wine tasting dinners with speakers from all over the world. We've had them from Argentina, Chile, New Zealand, Australia, France, Italy, literally all over. I think banks today don't understand your business. You've lost the regional manager, you've lost your account manager through the recession and through the banking crisis. You're dealing with committees that don't visit your business. So if they don't visit the business, how on earth are they going to understand it? If they look at a balance sheet and profit and loss account, in my experience, they don't always understand it. So you're not dealing with a very expert level of banking for small businesses. Well, there are big restaurants. There are famous restaurants in London. That give a very good service. We like to think we do give a service. We don't always succeed in everything we do. We keep striving to be better in what we do. But yes, service is absolutely paramount. And the only way to get that service is to train your staff. I've been to very, very good establishments where the staff are so badly trained that you come away never wanting to go back. Be confident in what you do. Research what you want to do. Believe in what you want to do. And be prepared to work very, very hard in order to get it off the ground and to succeed. And do not be put off at the first hurdle you come at, or the second or the third. Go on trying and go on trying. It didn't come easy for the Wine Circle. We had ups and downs throughout. You've got to persevere. If you believe in your product, then carry on. And go out and meet people. Go out and communicate. Go out and network. be part of them, get to know your customer, interact with them in such a way that you get to think as they think, and make them have the confidence in you, and you'll sell your product.
Sonny Jaffrey from the Wine Circle in Virginia Water, a great restaurant, great wines, and a great bloke as well, very knowledgeable man too. All right, time right now to get another roundup, part 2 of our roundup of the news over the last 12 months with Katie Child.
Here is a roundup of the top business news from 2013. Continuing with the second half of the year, in July, a US district court ruled that Apple Incorporated had conspired to fix the prices of ebooks, undercutting their popular rival Amazon. Apple had denied the allegations, stating that they had simply given the customers more choice and made it very clear that they had done nothing wrong. August saw Mark Carney, the Governor of the Bank of England, say that the bank would not consider raising the UK interest rates until the unemployment rate had fallen to 7% or less. At this time, the UK's unemployment rate stood at 7.8%. This figure was not meant as a target, but more of a point to which the bank would re-examine the interest rates. He expected that this would take around 3 years to achieve, and would require the creation of 750,000 jobs. On the 25th of September, Apple launched 2 new big products, the iPhone 5S and the iPhone 5C. The look of the 5S continues with the sleek metallic style from its predecessor, with a selection of new colours to choose from. Whereas the 5C has a colourful casing, giving it a more bright and vibrant look. Both products include the iOS 7 software featuring Siri, iCloud and social media integration with Facebook and Twitter. Out of the 2 by December of this year, the most popular one was the 5S, selling 3 times more than the 5C. BizCrowd launched a TV ad in October called All By Myself Ahead for Business. It's a free online networking community for small businesses created by NatWest. It connects UK businesses together when they need them through their website. It also gives practical and useful advice from other small businesses in the UK. Aaron Thompson, the Digital Director of NatWest Bank's BizCrowd, will also be featuring on the programme on the 29th of January. In November, it was announced that the British economy was growing faster than any leading economy at the time. It puts Britain back at the top of the G7 pack of advanced nations. The official figures shown between July and September that the UK's economy grew by 0.8%. The Office for National Statistics had said that there had been a fairly strong performance across all sectors. And to finish off the year, in December, Chief Executive Officer Dan Ackerson announced his retirement from General Motors. The board subsequently chose Mary Barra to take over the running of the company, which will make her the first female CEO of an automotive company. She started working for General Motors at the age of 18 as a co-op student and went on to hold a variety of engineering and administrative positions. She has worked her way up through the company, and after 33 years, she is now about to embark on her new role. She is due to take office as CEO in the new year. And that brings us to the end of the Business News Roundup for 2013. If you have any questions or queries for the show, please contact us on all social media or email studio@businessconnectionslive.com.
And my thanks to Katie Child for the roundup of the news, and can we wish you all a very happy new year. Our next programme that we had was Lizanne Jakobs. She was our guest on the programme. Once again, a fascinating lady, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. And she's a business coach, but one of the things that she advises her customers about is how to get funding and how to get grants. And of course, she was able to help us out with a grant that we didn't even know existed. She showed us lots of websites that you can go to. And when we applied for the grant, I think the thing that was surprising was, having filled out the forms, how very, very quickly we got a response response from the particular area that we'd asked for the grant from.
And the other thing that was interesting was that she was also talking about business plans and also having
Yes.
a proper business strategy. If you have a business plan at the moment and you haven't updated it over the past couple of years and you're still operating on your old business plan, well, maybe now is the time to actually reconsider that and do something about it. And she was stressing the importance of doing that. And what Lizanne does, she'll come into your business, she'll look at what your business is doing, she'll help you update and put together an updated business plan, and as Linda said, she'll also advise you on how you should go about getting additional funding or maybe what grants are available for your particular business. Once again, a fascinating program. It was program number 12, and this is what Lizanne Jakobs said to us on Business Connections Live. With me this evening, my special guest is Lizanne Jakobs. She's the business and executive coach. She works with an organisation called Clogy Coaching. She's one of their coaches that will go out to businesses, and she'll tell us more about that in just a moment. But what she does do for businesses is that she stands back for a moment and she puts together your strategy for success.
It's really looking at each business and seeing what their strengths are and where the person who either owns it or runs it wants it to go. It's very easy for me to come in and say, well, I think you should do this or that, but actually what we do is really take into consideration what they've already done so far and where they want to be. And for some businesses, that is to set up multiple locations or grow their turnover. For some people, it is just completely turning the business around. And so it's therefore looking at their ambitions and helping them to realise it. I think it's really difficult sometimes if you own or run a business. It's very easy to get overwhelmed with all the day-to-day work. We all get a huge flood of emails and phone calls. If you have a number of staff, they constantly want your time and attention.
We're too busy doing business, aren't we? That's what it is.
We're working in the business rather than on the business. And if you actually set aside maybe 2-3 hours every fortnight to really sit down, talk about the business plan, write down what you're going to do over the next 12 months, that can really help you along. And actually, as long as you have less than 250 staff, there are all sorts of schemes that you can benefit from. If you have bought a laptop or planning to buy a laptop soon, there's a grant called Sustainable Routes. Now, if you are in, I just have to quickly cheat, in the southeast of England, which they define as Berkshire, Buckinghamshire, Milton Keynes, Hampshire, etc., Surrey, Sussex, for example, so not the London counties, but the rest of the southeast, you can get a match-funded grant of up to £1,000. So in my work as a business and executive coach and a business consultant, I help people who want to grow their business. And whichever direction that's in, whichever sector that's in, I will look honestly and openly with you to see how you can achieve that and make it really specific and make it measurable and make sure that there's budget allocated against what you want to do, whether you are a bigger, very well organised, very professional firm, or whether you are a small company or even a one-man band. We will also make sure that there's lots of actions to be followed up on, because it's important that it's not just about talking about the business, because the talking can give you lots of insights, but that you actually do something with this as well, so that the next time we meet, we can see clear progress in the business, and that energises the whole business. The people that work for you or work with you or your customers will see as well that you are making progress. And that is what you get at the end, really, of my work. I also work with a whole range of different sectors, so I do teach people best practice from all sorts of sectors, and I have a lot of experience in sales and marketing, so I can give people lots of advice, if they want it, on what sort of sales and marketing strategies they could try in addition to what they've already tried or what they already know that they want to start trying. So that's really what I do with Clogy Coaching.
So that was Lizanne Jakobs from Clogy, the business coach. What a very knowledgeable lady she is.
Great show, really enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to getting our new piece of kit in the new year, so
Yes.
thank you very much, Lizanne. And that's what's so good about all of this. Now, the next programme, we went back to social media once again, but with a bit of a twist to it this time. Yes, we'd looked at Facebook, and we'd looked at LinkedIn, and we'd looked at Twitter as well on earlier programmes. And there's no doubt about it, we're going to keep coming back to those particular topics because they are of primary interest. In fact, LinkedIn is the most watched programme of all the programmes that we had, the one with Steve Mills, and he's coming back a little bit later on in January, in fact. So our guest on this particular program was Steve Nicholls, social media in business. It was a twist on this, though. It wasn't just about Facebook, it wasn't just about LinkedIn, it was about the future of social media, wasn't it?
Yes, he was talking about the importance of keeping up with the technology and keeping an eye on what's going on, because it changes so fast. Pinterest, Instagram, and yet they get more and more sophisticated as we go on. And he was talking about Blockbuster Video. They had a great business, but because they didn't keep up with the technology, look what's happened to them. And he explained more on the programme.
I found it fascinating, actually, because what he was doing as well, he even talked about Google Glass, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
And how that's going to have an impact on businesses when it comes to designing their websites and the like. So, once again, absolutely fascinating. So then, without any further ado then, Steve Nicholls, Social Media and Business on Business Connections Live.
Hi, I'm Steve Nicholls from Social Media in Business, and what I really we've been talking about is social media is a revolution, and what we're looking at is effectively technology is evolving, but we're experiencing it as a revolution because it's evolving exponentially, but we're experiencing it as a revolution.
If you're into finding out what social media is all about, but in particular social media in business, then this is going to be the book for you. And unlike some of the other social media books that you find, this one truly is cram-packed with information that is going to make a difference to your business.
But really there's two levels of social media we're talking about. One is what I would call the tactical social media, and that's typically the 4 or 5 buttons you see on somebody's website. That's what you'd call tactical social media.
Yeah.
That's really channels in marketing sense. So it's really looking at that, how do I use those as channels to marketing? But what I'm really looking at is how do you look at social media across the whole business? So how do you bring it into the DNA of the company, across the whole company? Because really what you're talking about, social media really is about communication. Some people will probably listening to this and thinking, Google Glass and wearable computer, what's that got to do with my business? The thing is, they probably thought that when the internet came out, and they probably thought that when mobiles came out, when the first iPhone came out, I saw an iPhone when it first came out, and I thought I had a Razor, which was a clamshell thing, and I thought, what do I need one of those for? And I think a lot of people think, why do I need one of those? And it's almost until you've experienced it, until you've used it, you don't really know what it is you're missing. And the other thing is that mobile websites, initially when they first came out, they were really designed for a PC and a laptop. But now you've actually got to design your website so that you can actually look at it on a mobile. Now, the reason I talked about Google Glass is because now you've got to think about, okay, what happens when somebody's viewing it through Google Glass? It's a different experience, and therefore all these different devices is a different experience for the customer. And depending on your market, and again, it's very much context driven, depending on your market, who those people are, where those people are, and that's where you've got to go where they are. So it's almost like you've got to go where the party is. Now, from a business perspective, there are a number of things you've got to think about. One, start with the end in mind. What is the goal? What is it you're trying to do? So don't just look at social media for the sake of it. I must have a Facebook page, I must have this, that, and the other. What is it you're trying to do? So start with a goal. Second thing is you need to understand the broader range of things that are available. So, what are the opportunities? So need to understand the opportunities. And my book is designed to really help you understand the broad array, the landscape, social media landscape. And this is a landscape that doesn't stand still. In the last 2 years since my book's been out, the landscape is starting to shift, and you can now start to see the difference. So the other thing is risks. There are risks with social media. So for instance, social media will amplify what you already are. So if you're a company that's not that great, you're going to have to smarten yourself up. You're going to have to bring yourself in line so that you've got to be. You can't get away with it now. If you're in the murky world of, there's no way around it. You've got to be good. There's just no other way around it. The other thing I would say is this is a people issue. When we're talking about communication is a people issue. It really isn't a technical one. I mean, a lot of people often say to me, oh, this is my IT people, or this is my marketing department.
Well, if you look at Elance, that isn't a marketing department. I mean, marketing people might use it. Sourcing, for instance, if you're doing sourcing, these are different parts of the organisation. And so what you need to do is look at the whole of your organisation and how that fits with it. But it's really about communication, it's about people. And the third, and I suppose the final thing, is implementation. You have to have a step-by-step method to implement.
And I understand Steve Nicholls will be joining us again. Is it January or February?
February.
February time. He's going to be back again. He's going to be talking to us here on Business Connections Live. And once again, thank you very much. Not only to him, but in fact to everybody that's been part of the programme since the very beginning. And it's been great to have you out there watching too. But there are a few people that I want to say thank you to. There's Katie Child, there's Gordon Bruff, who's been absolutely fantastic. Neil Blewett, who's worked on the programme with us as well. There's been Will Kinder too. Yes, that's a name that's quite familiar. And in fact, Anders Sandip too. Everybody.
And Curtis.
And Curtis as well. So thank you to all the team that are behind the scenes. We could never ever do this programme on our own. Okay, what are we going to do next? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to look at the last programme that we had, the last live programme for 2013. We've all got this real fancy about cars. We all love our cars. I'm a Jag driver. Linda used to be and very shortly will be a Jag driver once again. But what do you do when it comes to company cars? Should you have a company car? Should you purchase a car and then use it for business? If you're a small to medium scale enterprise, what's the best way of managing your cars? What cars should you be looking at? What about when it comes to actually financing them? What should you be doing? Well, we thought we'd get an expert in to give us a lowdown, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And so we asked Sarah Dobson, who's head of fleet from the AA, to come in. And what a mine of information she was, because it is so difficult to be able to choose exactly what you want from a car and also where to go. And she was even able to talk to us about some of the deals that are out there that you don't necessarily know about.
Many companies or many employees actually have a bit of an issue when it comes to company cars. They don't know whether they should buy them. Should they purchase the car? Should they lease hire it? Should they go into the company scheme? Should they be out of a company scheme? What car should they be going after? What's the best way to finance it? The list goes on and on and on. And hopefully tonight we're going to be able to resolve all that for you. My guest this evening is the lovely Sarah Dobson. She's the fleet manager from the AA, in charge of fleet. Just to give us a bit of an insight into the AA, just how big an organisation is it when it comes to looking after their vehicles, Sarah?
We've got about 8,000 vehicles on the fleet, ranging from commercial vehicles to driving school and company cars. They need to be realistic from the outset of what mileage they're going to cover. Although the rental may be slightly more expensive per month, it means that you won't get hit by excess mileage charges at the back end. Excess mileage charges can be anything from 6p to 15p to 20p, and that's an awful lot of money per mile, every mile that you go over that allowance. There are schemes that do it on a ad hoc basis, and a lot of leasing companies as well will do it on a short-term rental, which typically is about 3 months. You are paying a premium for that though, so you are super loaded with that, and also the return standards when the vehicle is returned are an awful lot higher. The mileage constraints are an awful lot higher, and it's typically only best practice to use that if you are thinking about going into a longer term vehicle. From a company car perspective, drivers are more excited about getting a replacement car every 3 years rather than actually owning it and having to worry about where they're going to dispose of it, who they're going to dispose it through, what value they're going to get for it, how much they have to repay a separate loan back for it. So I don't think it's too much of an issue. Essential business use, then I do think that having a company car scheme is probably the best way to manage that. The best way to go and do it as well is via a contract management company. So they will do everything for you. So they will maintain the car, they will service the car, they will provide the fines for the car, the licence, the road fund licence, etc. Definitely ensure that you've got a policy in place, ensuring that the driver has actually signed that policy so he understands what he has to do and what his driver responsibilities are. Making sure that you understand what the whole life cost of that vehicle is from the outset, so knowing what your service maintenance costs are going to charge you. Understanding what your MPG is and what your fuel is going to be, and also ensuring that you understand from the outset what miles you're going to cover and what term of the vehicle, contract term of that vehicle, you're going to lease it over.
Sarah Dobson, Head of Fleet at the AA, and thanks very much to the team at the AA and also to Sarah for popping in on the programme and giving us all that valuable information. Remember, you can watch any of these programmes in full by simply going to our YouTube channel. Please, if you are watching the programmes there, do subscribe, or you can go to the website, which is businessconnectionslive.com. And if you go to that site, also join up as a member, because we've got a whole number of offers all coming along in the new year for you. So that practically wraps it up for us for another year. We look forward to your company new year. It's been an exciting 14 programmes, and it's flown by, hasn't it?
It really has flown by, and there's more to come.
There is more to come indeed. Listen, we look forward to your company over the coming months, in fact the coming years. As Business Connections Live grows, there's going to be more programmes, there's going to be more editions, more live shows as well. And remember, if you've got information that you think you'd like to share with everybody else, and it would be of benefit to them, then why don't you get in touch? studio@businessconnectionslive.com. From me, Steve Highland, can I wish you a very happy new year?
And from me, Linda Lizanne, very happy and prosperous new year.
And from all the team at Business Connections Live, keep safe. We'll see you next Wednesday for the next live show. Bye for now. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.